Hey gamers, Maniac here with GameAccess.net, doing a video style that I haven't done in quite a while, but I felt it was time to bring it back. We are going to be doing a Maniacs haul. That's right. It's been a while since I've done my last Maniacs haul, and my original Maniacs haul was actually about a bunch of Final Fantasy games that I was able to find on cheap. And given the fact of what was going on recently in gaming news and what was going on in my purchasing interests at this time, I felt I could share some of this haul with you guys. I was on a bit of a buying kick recently. Not too much, this video is not going to be that long, but there was some context that I wanted to share with you guys for some of the stuff that I picked up. First off, I want to talk about this game. Because E3 is going on right now, a lot of retailers are dropping the prices on slightly older games, but still games on the current platforms, like the PS4, Xbox One games. If there's a game for either of those consoles that you meant to pick up but missed out on, now might actually be a good time to pick it up because you might find that the game is certainly cheaper than $60. And there's one game in particular that I saw with a price drop I couldn't resist picking up, given what they were charging for it. At Best Buy, I saw Gears of War Ultimate Edition on the Xbox One for only $30. Now, if you've played the original Gears of War game, you're probably saying, well, what's the point of me rebuying it on the Xbox One? Heck, even the 360 version still works on the Xbox One. And you'd be right. It does. It is backwards compatible, digital and retail. The difference is that this is not a port of the Xbox 360 version. This is a port of the PC version. About a year or two after Gears of War released on the Xbox 360, a PC version of the game was made and released through, I believe it was the Games for Windows Initiative, a service which I don't even think is active anymore. So what happened with it was that they included new levels and new sequences. People asked for those sequences and levels to be brought back into the 360 version via DLC. Unfortunately, they said that was impossible because the content in it was incompatible with the versions of the engines that they were using. In this case, they used the PC version as a template and redid a lot of the cutscenes and stuff like that. So even if you are a fan of Gears of War and if you have an Xbox One, I would still recommend picking up this game. The reason for the price drop is because that this game, depending upon when you bought it and when you started playing it, could have been a ticket to get early access to the Gears of War 4 multiplayer beta. That beta is passed. It's over. So because of that, retailers have wised up and they've lowered the price on this. I say it's still worth picking up as long as it's at about a $30 price. I picked this up at Best Buy, but pretty much everybody's selling it for at least $30 these days. I thought it was a good buy regardless. So next up, I want to talk about a little bit something different really quick. I also said that it's going to be a bit tougher for you to find games of last generation. Most of the major stock for games like, especially older games on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 and the previous generation handhelds and stuff, they're not really being sold in stores anymore. And the ones that are basically just, especially at retailers like Target and Best Buy, those are just bargain. They're just re-releasing games that were mass-produced and they're basically getting bargain bin prices right now. I've been scouring sites like Amazon because I've been trying to get my hands on even older games than that I missed out on because I simply just didn't have the hardware to play them back in the day. And one in particular, as you guys know, I've been trying to get my hands on as many older DS titles as I possibly could because I completely missed out on the Nintendo DS generation, something that I greatly, greatly regret. Well, there are two games that I have to show you guys. For those of you who are fans of Final Fantasy, you might know the truth that we never got, at least in the United States, a proper release of Final Fantasy III. When Final Fantasy III was released here in the United States, it was actually Final Fantasy VI for the Super Nintendo. Most people would know that. And while I admit it's probably considered to be by most Final Fantasy games one of the best Final Fantasy titles, I haven't played it, I can't comment. It has since been re-released. You can get Final Fantasy VI either through download or through various retail ways. It's been re-released on the on the PlayStation 1, for example. It's been re-released on iPhones and Androids, that sort of thing. And you can even probably download it on the Wii Virtual Console. It is possible. But for the original Final Fantasy III, it never got a release here until 2007 when it was actually released, of all things, it was ported to the Nintendo DS. And I have been waiting a very long time to get my hands on a copy of Final Fantasy III. This was the last numbered Final Fantasy game, not including MMOs, that I have not got a solid copy of in one version or another. like I said, Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 5 were both re-released on the PlayStation 1 of all places. And I also have Final Fantasy 2 on the iOS, so you know there's that too. But yeah, I had to pick this game up. It was $10 on Amazon. Most copies I had seen were being sold for at least $20, $23 or so, give or take. Probably more expensive than that. This game is old. This was released in 2007. It's harder to find unopened copies of this. But on Amazon, they were selling it for $10, and I could not say no to this. If you have missed out on this game and you're a fan of titles like Bravely Default, this game was practically a prototype, at least for this style. I looked at the early screenshots for this game, this particular version in fact, and I saw a lot that would later end up in like Bravely Default and stuff. So if you're a Bravely Default fan, or a Final Fantasy fan, or just a Nintendo DS fan, that's a good buy. $10 for Final Fantasy 3, pick it up. The next one I want to talk about is a game I didn't even know was available because I can't remember a single person online talking about it. I had no idea this even existed. A lot of news happened recently of Final Fantasy 12, originally a PS2 exclusive title, getting ported over to the PlayStation 4. That is true. That is coming. That's been announced. But a lot of people don't know that Final Fantasy 12 actually had a sequel. The thing was, it was a DS exclusive. Yes, I am not kidding. Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings. This is a DS exclusive title. As far as I know, it is not being included in the Final Fantasy 12 remake. The version that is being released is the international version of Final Fantasy 12, which included a lot of cool extras and stuff like that that never came to the United States. But as far as I know, Revenant Wings is not part of that package, which is a little disappointing because when they released Final Fantasy X, they included 10-2 with it. Ditto for all of the HD remakes of, what do you call it, of the Kingdom Hearts titles. But yeah, this was a title I was also really holding off on because I couldn't find it for a decent price on Amazon, and I was worried that at any point price could spike on it. Thankfully, this was $17 on Amazon, and I totally recommend looking this one up, especially given the fact that this might go up again because now everybody's going to be talking about Final Fantasy 12 this week. So I totally would recommend checking this out if you have a DS. I also heard and I've seen there was actually a Revenant Wings or Final Fantasy 12 branded DS that exists. I've seen it on being sold used in used game stores, so I know it exists. I may just pick one up. I don't know, but we'll see. But if you're a collector of like branded DS handhelds, or you gotta have all the different variations of the color or art style for DSs. I know that there is a Revenant Wings version of the DS. I've seen it. So, go figure on that one. Well, I hope you enjoyed this look back. We got plenty more game content coming for the YouTube channel in the interim. Plenty of stuff that I promised. More game streams, more Let's Plays, more video content. Got some more complex videos possibly on the way. Who knows? But this is the week of upcoming week is the week of E3, so we got a lot going on. I recommend checking out my website, GameAccess.net, for all details about the latest gaming news and information, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and you can see more videos. Till next time, guys, my name is Maniac. Take care. Over and out.